Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of Incantation, a horror movie review podcast where we discuss both classic and current horror movies, as well as everything in between. We are four friends from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, with a shared love for everything that is horror. My name is Joe, and with me today is Caleb, Josh,
Hi.
and Lynn.
Hello.
So, as promised last episode, we are going to review the movie called A Dark Song. And for the introduction to this movie, I will pass this to Josh.
Okay. So we are now going to look into a series of films about the occult, right? The last time around, we've looked at 4 films based around possession. Well, 3 of them, the film Possession wasn't really about possession.
Arguable.
So we're kicking off our occult theme films with A Dark Song. Now, A Dark Song is a film from 2016. It's a debut film by Liam Gavin, and it centers around 2 characters, Sophia, who is played by Catherine Walker, and Solomon, who is played by Steve Oram. Now, Sophia hires Solomon, who is an occultist, to guide her through a ritual from the Book of Abramelin. And this ritual requires the 2 of them to be locked up in a house together for months while they undergo really extreme physical and mental stress. And all this is to summon Sophia's guardian angel. Sophia claims that she wants to do it because she loves someone who doesn't love her anymore. Now, I think before we continue the discussion of the film, do take note that if you're planning to see this, there are actually scenes of sexual exploitation, and there's mention of harm to young children, which some viewers might find distressing. So this is a film that I recommended. So, I guess it's not a spoiler to say that I really like this film, but maybe, Lynn, you can tell us how you felt about the film.
I watched this film without any expectations. I didn't watch the trailer or anything like that. I didn't read the synopsis, so 0 expectations. But the movie kept me wondering because there are things that seem to not make sense, but I don't know whether it does in the movie. So there are elements of like ambiguity whether or not this ritual is gonna work, and whether these characters know what they are doing. So yeah, I didn't have any expectations, but towards the end, I think, when you watch until the end, you will know that everything centers around that values, a couple of values that we're going to talk about later. But yeah, it was a decent movie. Like I would watch it again because I didn't really get a lot of it from the first time watching it. I would watch it again to really make the most out of it lah. Yeah.
Okay. Caleb, maybe you can give us your thoughts.
I actually like this movie a lot. Not because it's scary or anything, but it's very cool to me that the directors put so much thought and effort into the ritual itself. Like it almost feels like a game that I can't think of that's very heavy on story. They have the rituals, they put a lot of detail into it, like what this does, what this circle does, and what when you do something, what happens. And it's it's very cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really scary to me.
It's not scary.
As a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I see that the director put a lot of effort into whatever they're doing. Even though the story is, to me, is very simple. It's just someone doing a ritual. But the process of it is very stretched out, very detailed. So it's pretty cool to me. So
Right. So yeah, okay. I would agree with Caleb in terms of the details of the movie, which is really fleshed out, I would say. I've read somewhere that the ritual itself is actually based on real rituals. I think about, I don't know, 50 or 60% of it is probably real.
This is like the Book of Abramelin for dummies, right?
Yeah, so it's like the basics, like Occult 101, how to summon your guardian angel, right? So, so that to me, I've always taken interest in things that is like beyond this realm and things like that. That's why I love horror movies. So, one of my favorite subgenres of horror movie is, of course, the supernatural. So, so to me, that's really like Caleb said, it's really cool, but. For me, I didn't like this movie, but not in a way that you don't like a movie. Like, it's not bad, but it really makes you uncomfortable. And throughout I remember the first time watching this. This is my second time. So the first time I watched this, I was totally out of my element while watching it. It makes me so, I don't know, mad, or it makes me so very uncomfortable to the things that happens to the characters, both of the characters, things that happen to them, and the motivations for the characters, the reason why they did what they did. Those makes me really uncomfortable, and in terms of a horror movie, that's great, right? That's what a horror movie is supposed to make you. A good one, supposed to make you feel the sense of dread, and you're just out of your mind sometimes. So this is a awesome horror movie to me. It's a very slow one, but that's because a lot of elements are being fleshed out and things are slowly being revealed to you. The characters' motivations and why some of the things that is happening. So it's got a great message as well at the end. So yeah, definitely I would recommend this movie. Yeah. So Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, well, so going back to rewatch A Dark Song, like Joe and Caleb, this is my second time watching this. I was a little bit worried because I really loved the film the first time I saw it. And, sometimes when you go back and revisit the film, you realize, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was. But man, this second viewing just reinforced for me what an extraordinary film this is. I mean, we have seen some really stunning directorial debuts in horror over the past decade, right? Like Ari Aster with Hereditary, Robert Eggers with The Witch, Jennifer Kent with The Babadook. And to me, A Dark Song is on par with any of those titles. Liam Gavin, it's really mind blowing for me, like how assured he is as a director. Like this can't be your first time or your first film, dude. Like it's not fair that you are this assured. He you look from the cinematography to the pacing to how the film is structured. The way that he tackles themes of grief and loss and depression and abuse. It's a really gorgeous film. I really like how they use natural light and darkness and how that, matches the progression of the ritual. Like Joe has mentioned, so much planning has gone into this film, right? You can tell every beat of the film, every scene has been just so well thought out. And like Caleb has said, if you go in expecting a jump scare fest, then this is probably not the film for you. You probably want to watch Occult.
Throwing shade. Throwing shade.
Sorry. You probably want to watch that if you want like jump scares. This film deals with some really dark themes, yeah. And the characters go to really, really dark places. And no spoiler, but that ending, I have seen online, a lot of people are split about it. Some people love it, some people don't. But, for me, like if you are on board with the characters, if you're on board with what the director is doing, I think the ending works, right? And, this for me is, it really is a journey very, very worth taking. And I would highly recommend this film.
Right. Okay, so there you have it, guys. This is our non-spoiler first thoughts and reviews about the movie A Dark Song. And when we come back, we will talk about the movie some more. Be right back.
I've done this 3 times. Once it worked, twice it didn't.
I have to hear his voice again.
Real angels, real demons.
Make me choose. How do we know that it started?
Mummy.
It's not your son.
I know. And may all my transgressions be washed. Make me choose.
This is the price of our rage. Embrace it. Don't fear it.
May my light be here now, guiding me.
No, don't cross the line! We'll be stuck here forever!
Maybe we should stop.
We can't stop! I need you to be driven!
Protecting me.
Hi guys, welcome back to a review discussion of A Dark Song. It's a 2015 British horror independent film, and we are here to talk about some of the spoilers that is in the movie. So to begin, we want to really talk about Sophia and Solomon. So I guess there's a connection there because Sophia means wisdom and Solomon is one of the wisest king from the Bible, right? So I don't know what's the connection that the director wants to draw from there, but yeah. So Sophia, what happened to her was that her son died. So, but we're not really sure that the son died. I mean, the son died, but we're not really sure how the son died, right? She says that the son is being murdered by teenagers who's trying to perform some ritual. So I guess the normal reaction would be to go to another occultist and to get revenge on these people. I don't know. Caleb, what do you think? Is that like a normal reaction to you?
It's not. Right? It's not only weird that she would turn to dark magic, occult and stuff, but she straight up asked a stranger from the internet, right, to come into a house to lock up for 6 months or more. That
when I go for the occult, I just go to Occult's arrest, really. I mean,
Occult101.com.
You just ask a random guy to stay with you for 6 months to do whatever he wants.
Right. He has complete control over you.
Right.
But it seems that like this Solomon guy has quite a reputation, right? She's probably trolling. She's been trolling the internet for like a few months, and then it's like people mentioning, "Oh, the Solomon guy, you have to like whatever."
But he's like her fourth choice, right? Like she mentions, I actually already went to this guy and this guy and this guy.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And now I'm coming to you because the other occultists didn't want to do this ritual.
I want to see this website.
This website.
Right. So, for me, she didn't really act normal. So it suggests to me that she is not honest throughout the whole movie, which is evident, right? She slowly reveals some of the things that happen to the son, and there's a lot of things that she's not honest about. So I think, to me personally, I think Sophia, her motivations is not pure as the film would multiple times suggest, and the way or the condition that her son died, she probably has a lot to do with it. Like she's probably responsible for it.
Funny enough, the Solomon guy, the random internet guy, is the most honest one in the film. Like he straight up tells her that he did this ritual 3 times and only worked 1 time.
Right.
And this whole experience is gonna be super harrowing and dangerous. The whole time he was just telling the truth, but Sophia was like withholding information from him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty.
Yeah, but there is this
funny.
one time when he there is this one time when he actually lies to her, right? And that was really, really. That for me is like one of the when watching it back, that is one of the more harrowing scenes in the film, where he sexually exploits her, telling her that we need to do this, when actually that is not actually part of the ritual. I think like what really struck me this time around, like I just want to say off the bat, like Steve Oram and Catherine Walker, both of them put in really fantastic performances. But what struck me this time around is it's not just that Solomon is this know-it-all ass, right? But like he's actually like dangerous, and he's manipulative, and he's abusive. And that was something that I might have caught the first time around watching it. It just didn't stick with me that much. But when Joe, when you mentioned that this film made you feel uncomfortable, like for me, the thing that really made me feel uncomfortable the most was how he treats Sophia, right?
Right.
Like he constantly demeans her, he verbally abuses her. We talk about the sexual exploitation, and then when he finds out that she lied to him about her motivations, then he straight up murders her and then brings her back.
Right.
And
right. But that was, I think that was part of the ritual, wasn't it?
No, and that's the thing that he's claiming. Yeah. He claims that he's to cleanse her.
Right.
But the tension that exists, right, is driven by one of two things. So one of it is Sophia's desperate for the ritual to work, and she's really she's in despair when things don't work out. And the second thing is, we never know whether the most grueling parts of the ritual that Sophia has to go through are whether it's necessary or not, or whether it's just Solomon messing with her, trying to control her, trying to abuse her.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't know whether the rest of you picked up on that as well.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Solomon is an ass. No, I don't like him at all. That guy. but yeah, I mean, he's manipulative. He berates her at every single opportunity, and then even after he got stuck with the knife, right? He's still very like how do you say, oppressive? Yeah, he's still trying to like be the man, the guy, right? Until he just straight up dies, right up to the end.
No, but even like when he at the times when he tries to be nice to her towards the end, I'm already so, because you have seen how he's acted throughout the whole film. Like even when he does that, I'm thinking, no, you're just doing it to manipulate her again. Like you are not being genuine, right? But yeah, I just wanted to know whether you guys felt the same way that I did, that Solomon might know some magic, but he's pretending to know a whole lot more than he actually does. And he's doing that as a way to control Sophia. I mean, that's just my take on it. I don't know whether you guys felt the same way.
Not too sure actually, because I don't have much background, understanding about that Abramelin ritual or whatnot. So yeah, he is terrible, but I don't know whether it was necessary for her to not get sleep, for her to be for him to pour like cold water on her. It's just terrible lah. Like the amount of torture that she has to go through just to get this ritual done, just to see her guardian angel. I don't know whether it was necessary, and I don't know whether it was a legit ritual that she has to go through. So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Josh. I don't know. I think it's overly done, like on Solomon's end.
Right. I would say Solomon is not, he doesn't know like 100%. He probably knows like 50 or 60%. And then he, like Caleb said, he did the ritual like 4 times. 3 times?
3 times, I think.
3 times. And then
like
there was only one time that was that happened. And I would imagine like during that one time, there was a lot of unnecessary stuff that carried over to this one. So he didn't know what worked and what didn't work. So he just tried everything. So like maybe during the failed ones, he just did this, and then when he was successful, he did the other thing. So of course it's not exact science. And then he has went through 2 failed rituals, and then God knows what happened there. So to me, he did not know what he was doing. half the time, I would say. And then a lot of times he would just, I would say that he's fearful of what would happen. That's why he's so abrasive with Sophia. I mean, he's scared lah, right? He's seen two failed rituals happen and then don't know what happened there, right? So I would say that would account for some of his mannerism to Sophia. Yeah. But basically, you don't have to act like this. I mean, you can convey the seriousness of it and what's the danger of it without you being so physically and verbally abusive to Sophia.
That's just how he handles it, right?
Yeah, that's how. I mean, if you dabble in the occult, you're gonna get like you something's wrong with your brain, right?
And then you have this person that wants to do it, but she's not fully following.
Yeah, and
not telling you everything,
and she's totally not honest. And so he's. I mean, parts of it was understandable, but there were parts of it that was just, oh man, why? you do you even know what you're doing? Like indication of the ritual working. Multiple times he said that. Right? He's like, oh, this is sign that it's working, and this is sign that it's working, but
like 3 times.
Yeah,
but the indicators are like
flowers
on the floor that is not very evident that the ritual is working. It could be just him throwing flour on the floor. And then a random bird just ran into the house.
Right.
It's just coincidence, I guess.
And then he got stuck with the knife. How did he get stuck with the knife, actually?
I don't know. He placed himself there. Right.
Yeah, so
he owned himself just to make a point, right?
Oh god, and then he dies from that. Lin, you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to add on the point that you mentioned just now, Joe. He might be fearful, right? Because he failed twice and he only succeeded once. Mm-hmm. Remember that there was that book, the ritual book that was scribbled after he died.
Right.
That there is no reason why he should scribble the book, because like Sophia was trying to run away. Yeah, she was trying to finish the ritual or just get out of the house. And when she finds the book, it was all scribbled. Like, if you're really doing a ritual, why would you do that, right? I don't know whether that kind of that told. I don't know whether that informed us that Solomon wasn't really like. I don't know whether he knows what he's doing and all that from that scene.
Yeah, but I think like that's the beauty of the film, because like that scene can be interpreted in a few ways, right? One of it could be Solomon was an ass in life and he's an ass in death as well, but he knows that he's dying. He just like
his last act of defiance.
Yeah,
to kill.
If I can't have this knowledge, nobody else should have this knowledge, right? It could also be like maybe one of the demons is messing with Sophia and so does that so that she can't complete the ritual and so she's trapped. And so there are, I think there are multiple ways in which that film, not that film, but that scene can be interpreted. And I think what's great about the film is that it supports all those different, it has put all those pieces into place, that it supports whichever interpretation that you want to take of that particular scene.
I remember Solomon saying that if you leave the house, you won't be able to leave this ritual, right? Maybe because she left the house, that the whole ritual got ruined by someone. I don't know.
It didn't get ruined. I would say
the whole scribbling on the book.
Right. I would say the ritual has already succeeded before she left.
Really?
Because if what Solomon says is true, that if she leaves, then the ritual wouldn't complete, right?
They'll be stuck there forever.
They'll be stuck there forever, right? So she left, like she stepped over the salt line, and I would say before that the ritual is already done, and then it just takes a while for the guardian angel to show up. I don't know, but
like he's like Santa Claus is visiting all his other
visitors. because at the end she does get to leave, right? So that would suggest that the ritual was complete.
I don't know. But it's a bit weird to me too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether we're jumping here. I'll talk about the ending, but I actually don't know whether the ritual worked or not. I have a different
Right.
interpretation on how come the guardian angel showed up, and to me, I don't think it has anything to do with so much the ritual itself, like the circles and things like that,
Right.
but rather the process, right? Like what she has gone through. And what
Okay.
that ending means, yeah. So, but yeah, we can. I don't know. Do you want to jump to it now, or do we save it for later?
Nah, let's save it for the ending talk, right? But we can move on to the horror elements of this film. It's marketed as a horror film, but there's not a lot of, I would say, your typical horror elements that's in this movie. Of course, everything that Sophia has to go through is horrible enough. She gets exploited, and then she gets drowned and died, and then revived. She gets no sleep, no eating. So all those is practically horror elements, but we could talk about some of the more supernatural stuff that is in the film. Right. So, Caleb, what was horror for you?
Nothing supernatural stood out to me, but for me, it kind of feeds into one of my irrational fears that it could happen to me in real life.
Like
someone could
do the book of Occult.
not me, but someone could actually do this in real life.
Right.
Like in the past, we have news about kids stabbing their friends in the name of Slenderman.
Right.
So I don't want to just walk around and then get stabbed in the name of Slenderman. Right. Yeah. That's probably just one of my fears.
So it's almost, so what you're saying is like this ritual as advertised is actually real, and then
even you say that the ritual itself is like 60% of a real book,
right.
That someone
exists.
So yeah, that's
It's like, you mean someone could actually do this?
someone could actually do it. It could actually happen in real life. That's the horror.
Right. Okay. Lin?
Yeah, like with the lockdown, right? You could actually do it. Like 3 months of MCO.
No thanks. 6 months. Man.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I've actually been doing it since March. That's why you can't see me.
Oh no.
Right. No wonder you don't want to meet up.
What about you guys?
Yeah.
Scary.
I mean, there are stuff that happens towards the last half of the movie that's really creepy, I would say. But yeah, the first time I saw it, the scene where she's locked in this room, where she's trying, she comes, I forgot whether she came back from, after going out of the house, she came back, and then she has this encounter with this, I don't know if it's a spirit or a demon, that's just outside her door, and they're just talking to her in the son's voice. That was the second time she encounters this thing. And she's trying to get her to open the door or something, right? And that was chilling for me, where the entity just straight up admits that he's trying to do her harm. And yeah, that was out of the norm for me. And when he said that, I was like, oh man, I got chills. So that's where the horror really worked for me.
It's weird to me that she immediately picked up that it's not her son.
Yeah, right. So
Even the first time,
right,
son's voice came.
But that was a warning from Solomon, right? I mean, he said that there's a lot of things that's gonna happen, and then it's not, you have to like stay focused, and then you're gonna be a lot of things is gonna try to deceive you or whatnot.
Yeah, but because of all the things that she agreed to do, like straight up going to occult, and then the one thing that she wants to do is to talk to her son, and she immediately picked up that it's not her son. It's kind of weird to me.
Right. So like in normal traditional horror movies, she would be like talking to it and then opening the door and then hugging her son, and then just realize that, oh my God, it's something that's super horrible. Right.
Yeah, but I think like it's really to the film's credit, right? Like the two of them, Solomon and Sophia, both act in really smart ways.
Right.
Like and so for Sophia, I guess, like, yeah, Caleb is right that if your goal is to speak to your son and then your son is speaking to you from through the door, like, wouldn't that be the thing that you want the most in the world? But I guess, like, as a mom, like, she could tell that that's not her child, and also maybe deep down she knows that the ritual hasn't worked yet, and that's why her son shouldn't be there speaking to her. But the thing that really sells me for that scene is Catherine Walker's performance, right? Because you can see Sophia, all the shit that Solomon puts her through, and it's really, really harrowing. But that scene really is the one where you can see in her eyes the toll that it is taking on her, right? That she's, like, the kind of guilt that she's holding because of losing her son, or how her son died. And like,
how much did it take for her not to open that door, right?
Yeah. You look at all the other things in the film and all that she has had to endure, and yet you can tell, like, this is the one that is costing her the most. Yeah, for me that was really, really great. If we're talking about horror sequences, then for me the one that really gave me chills was the reading chair scene where I don't know about you guys, but I have a reading chair that is next to my bed.
Nice. Time to smoke some cigars.
Yeah. I'm trying to sleep facing away from it now.
Don't do anything, right?
Yeah, that scene was that scene was really creepy. Yeah.
I find that the chair scene was creepy. Other than that, I felt that the supernatural scenes, I don't know whether it was related to the ritual, or are they just in her mind, or they're just there. But what's I think the horror elements to me personally is what Sophia has to go through just to get this ritual done. The minute she stepped into the house with the salt pot around the house, right? That was when the horror started. Like she couldn't even sleep. She couldn't even eat at any timing that she wants, and they have to get 6 months of food supply. Eating the same food for 6 months is horror to me. So like the feeling of not knowing what's going to happen for the next 6 months is really horrible, and it's really dreading. Like, you wanted just one thing, and you have to go through this for 6 months.
Right.
And you don't even know if it's gonna work, because Solomon is just being an ass. So that's horror to me, lah. Yeah.
Right. I just want to point out that they had supplies for 6 months, but they didn't bother to get medical supplies.
They bought meat.
They bought a lot of meat, and then they didn't think that anyone could get hurt when
you eat, you heal.
No, you don't. Evidently, you get stabbed and then you're dead. Right? You get
slap a piece of meat on it.
You get infection, and the worst thing is after getting infection, you can't go to the hospital because you'd be trapped in that dimension. Right?
I just want to point out that there are services that deliver meal plans to you every week.
Your ritual circle.
You have to drag someone into your ritual just to get you food.
Yeah, Uber Eats, but for rituals, right?
Now comes with complete ritual protection for our riders. Right? So they can go in, they can come back out again safe.
And they will replenish your salt circle as well.
They will help you do your salt circle again. 5-star. All right.
This is planned.
Okay. So I would say, moving on, I would say that this film was, I would say, competently made, right? Every shot of it and every the soundtrack, especially. I love the soundtrack. It's
minimal.
It's very minimal, but at the same time, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Everything is very dissonant.
It's not out of place.
It's super out of place. I mean, the musical wise is very out of place. The It's very dissonant. The notes
You don't mean
violin.
out of place like how the ending of Possession and they had the techno electro
No, not
music.
that. That's just disorienting. Techno, 80s synthesizers, techno. Right? No, but I'm saying that the music is very dissonant. It makes your brain go, huh? And then it's I don't know. I love the soundtrack for me. It fits with the scenes very well. Yeah. Does anyone else feel like that?
It feels like the thing to me. Like it's just two notes kind of thing. Like very minimal, which is good, I guess. They didn't like bombard you with like rock music or whatever. Yeah, it kind of complements the experience.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just love how meticulously planned the film is. I'll give you an example, right? So, Cleveland State University, they actually conducted a study where participants were asked like how they felt when they saw characters on screen moving from left to right, as well as from right to left. And so in their study, that they found that footage that shows right to left lateral movements actually evokes negative feelings, whereas left to right movements leave you feeling helpful or lets you feel that the characters are actually making progress. And if you notice in this film, there are actually 3 shots where Sophia is traveling on road, right? And 2 of them come early on. They are very long still shots that are only broken by her car moving from left to right on the screen. And that's like really beautiful use of lateral movement, right? And for me, like it evoked the feeling of that, you know, even after that, when I find out that she's untruthful to Solomon, that she actually has valid reasons to do that she's a character that we can trust and we can root for. Like the filmmaker is using cinematic language to get us to put faith in Sophia's character. Whereas the only time in the film when she moves right to left is at the end when she's trying to escape from the mansion, right? So it comes like when it comes just before when she finds herself arriving back at the mansion again. And you know, so right to left evokes negative feelings, and it just reinforces the feeling that, you know, Solomon was right. You're never going to be to escape after you break the barrier, or and if you leave before the ritual is complete, you're going to be stuck in this hell forever. So just this use of the cinematic language, and another one that comes to mind is right after the ritual has started at the start of the film, and there's a scene where Sophia is sitting against a wall. And it is framed against in the foreground by a pair of railings, right? And it just makes her look like she's trapped in between these 2 railings.
Right.
It just uses this kind of language to depict the things that she's actually going through. And one last thing maybe is that how the film mirrors and falls back on itself, right? When at the start you see how Sophia is the one suffering, and then she gets pulled into this deeper darkness, and then after when Sophia gets revived again, then it's Solomon who goes through all the same things again. Sophia vomits in the toilet, Solomon vomits in the toilet, and it just reverses itself all the way back to the start. That kind of structure is just beautiful to watch, and then for me it's just you know, really masterful use of cinematic language, which again I feel it's so unfair. This is your first film, Liam Gavin. like control yourself, man. Where do you go from this? Yeah.
Right. Has this director done anything else?
No, that's crazy, right? It's crazy. Like he's not done anything
even
since
after
2016. Yeah, nothing.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
He's probably stuck in a house for 4 years doing
right, probably has to complete another ritual to do another film, right?
He's so for this film.
Yeah. He's the only guy that was happy about the lockdown.
Right. Lynn, what about you? Do you have anything to say about the audios or the visuals of the film?
Yeah. For me, I think horror movies particularly, I feel like sometimes less is more, especially with movies like this where there are a lot of things that you question whether it's actually legit or not. Like sometimes if you overuse the music, it just spoils everything. And for me, I feel like if you don't need to talk about, if you don't point up the music, that means the music is good. And I felt that it was okay. It was good for this movie because it's very minimal. It's not overpowering. It doesn't exert a lot of pressure on you to move your pace, because like this movie is a bit slow, right? So I think the audio was fine. Cinematography, I think don't have much comment on that. It's decent.
So let's talk about the ending of the film. Did it work for you? Or what was the takeaway?
I actually want to know how Lin feels about that big ass guardian angel, right? Because the three of us, Joe, Caleb, and myself, have already seen this before, so you knew that's coming. But you said you were going to it totally blind, not knowing anything about what's going to happen. When you suddenly see that at the end, like how did that make you feel?
I was speechless lah. Like I didn't expect a guardian angel to be that huge, and he looks a bit like he was wearing a mask. He looks like a superhero. So I wasn't sure what was going on there. Until she said that what she wanted the most was forgiveness. Then I realized that was the guardian angel, and he didn't say anything. He was just smiling there, and he was with the same pose throughout that whole scene. The only reaction he did was to smile. It was weird, but I think it worked lah. Because like the whole purpose of this ritual is for this guardian angel to appear, right? That the summoning of this guardian angel was basically the whole purpose of this ritual. And going into that, since we're talking about the guardian angel, I'm not too sure. Like just now, you guys have mentioned that Sophia heard the son's voice, and then she was like strong enough not to go ahead and open the door, or she knew that it was not the son, right? And I kind of felt like towards the ending, when she said she wanted forgiveness, that she already knew that she probably would not be able to get what she wanted, which is revenge. And she was aware, like, all she wanted was just to forgive whoever has killed the son. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but I think that she was already aware that there's nothing else she could do. There's nothing she could do to get her revenge. And that's why she probably didn't open the door, because she knew her son wasn't coming back anyway. And the whole purpose of this 6-month ritual is to have the heart to forgive. So that's why I felt that this movie kind of worked for me towards the end. Like the first part of the movie, I really didn't know what was going on until I saw the ending. So yeah.
You could take literally that the guardian angel came and gave her what she wanted, right? Or you could also see it as how she's so desperate that she kind of imagined this in her mind. That but in reality she actually left the house, the Salt Circle, and she's trapped in there forever. So she's so desperate that until she hallucinates this guardian angel, and then she asks for forgiveness to, like, somehow to forgiveness to, like, how she kind of allowed her son to die. I don't know. She's asking for forgiveness for herself.
You gotta take some serious drugs to hallucinate that kind of.
I don't know if you're locked in the house for like 6 months.
You went through all those things to chant some stuff while getting water poured on you and all that stuff, dying. You might hallucinate something like this.
Right. It's not exactly what she wanted, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So did the ending work for you?
I guess, but it's kind of weird, right?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, but I was more interested in the whole detailed ritual than the ending. So
because you're a game designer. Right. Okay. I mean, for me, the ending was pretty awesome. Actually, she asked. Instead of asking for revenge, she asked for the power to forgive. I mean, the first time I watched it, in the beginning of the film, she said that she don't do forgiveness, right? There's one thing that she's super adamant about, and then at the end, even to the point where she has to drink Solomon's blood multiple times. Even after she's drank it, the thing magically, like supernaturally, refilled itself, and then she has to drink it again.
It's like time rewind,
and she has to do it a few times. So she is at the beginning of the film. She's like, she will never forgive these people that's responsible for her son's death, right? Whether it's her or someone else or whatever. And it works on those two different theories, right? If she's done it, and if she's the one that's responsible for her son's death, or if the teenagers or whatever is responsible for her son's death, she will never forgive them. She will never forgive herself, or she will never forgive the teenagers or whoever killed her child. So at the end, and where she asks for the power to forgive, that means she is definitely free from that. I would say it's such a heavy burden to bear, to be able to let go of the son's death, and then and finally she's able to let go, right? So she has to literally go to hell, where she's being dragged into the basement, being tortured by whatever beings that is down there, have her fingers cut off.
They wanted her fingers,
right? I'm not sure what's the significance of getting your fingers cut off, but and then at the end she literally ascends the stairs into heaven, where she meets her guardian angel, right?
Cool.
And so yeah, and it shows her character just ascending beyond hell, away from her burden, away from her guilt, and she asks ultimately for the power to forgive, right? So I would say that the moment she broke free from the basement, she already forgave whoever is responsible for her child's death, and she asking for it is basically just a confirmation of what she already has.
Should have revived Solomon.
Should have revived Solomon. Nah, Solomon got what he wanted.
Right, invisibility.
Right, invisibility. Right. So he wants to get away from all of it, and he dies.
Chaos.
Right. So I guess in a way, Solomon got his wish as well.
Happy endings for
to
everyone.
be water buried.
Water buried.
He's just like serenely being buried. She just casually throws his body into the lake, and that's it, right?
As if no one's gonna find it.
Right, and then, right, as if no one's gonna find that floating body. I don't know, that body like magically suddenly just submerges into the water. Maybe that's the peace that he wanted, right? He's done so much crap in his life that this is what he wanted, a peaceful where he's away from everyone and no one is gonna find him. Yeah, so I love the ending, especially for the character of Sophia, right? Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I have a slightly different take on that ending. It's, man, the ending is just catharsis, right? She has gone through so much already, and for me, the end of it, you can't take. Okay, so I think it is literally happening on screen. Or like what's happening on screen is literally what's happening, but you are not meant to take it as literal, right? You have to look at what it means. And so for me, like Sophia wrestling with the demons, like she's trying to break free from the basement. It was the demons are this physical manifestation of her guilt. Right, of her guilt and of the pain that she's holding on to because of losing her son. And what happens in that transition is that she has gone from looking for an outside source of her pain, that those are happening from the time of her son's death up until the ending of the film, where she's blaming others, where she's blaming, those kids that took my son. I want revenge on them. She's looking for an outward source to lash out to, and then finally realizing that if she is going to break out of the darkness of her grief and of her depression, that she has to forgive herself. Right? And so when she then asked the angel, grant me the power to forgive, and that scene where as she's saying that, then it's juxtaposed with her letting go of the body in the water, just her releasing that guilt and that the pain, and it just all of it just works for me. I mean, it's such a beautiful ending to a film that is so dark, right? It's both physically, because there are tons of scenes once the ritual starts that just lit by candlelight a lot of the time, or in darkness, and man, it's the final piece of the puzzle. It's so out of left field. I felt it was incredibly daring to do that. It's really, really unique right now. I love that ending.
Right. Cool. So, ratings. Let's get to the rating part of this. Maybe we start with Lynn.
I think I would give it between a 7 and an 8. This movie's ending was awesome. I really like how the director has planned the ending. I think the details of the ritual was really good as well. And like all the circles and triangles, all the shapes, and each room has a purpose, right? Those were really planned out really, really well, and the character build was also good. I think that few points that didn't make it a 10 out of 10 was because I didn't really know what was happening. I didn't really know what I was expecting as well. But if I were to watch it a second time, it might be higher. I think it would be higher. Like after listening to you guys, the interpretation and whatnot, I think I would watch it again to get all these values that I didn't capture the first time I'm watching. So definitely recommend it. I would watch it again maybe in a couple of months.
Right. Okay. So for me, it would be a 8 out of 10. Like what everyone else has said. The characters, 2 of the characters are amazing. They're just super intriguing to watch. Very compelling. The visuals and the audio, we have already touched on. It's pretty amazing for a first-time director. I didn't know he was a first-time director, and he didn't do anything else. That's pretty. That's quite a feat.
Talent.
Yeah, and as a horror movie, it works as well. The human element of it, the physical suffering and the mental torment, and also the horror elements. I mean, it could be just one huge jump scare fest, like Annabelle, Homecoming, where it's just a horror movie ride from start to finish. It's just jump scare after jump scare. But they really did a lot of creative decisions with this, especially with this the chair scene, with the cigarette, and then the room with the voice of the son. That to me is what makes horror movies work. Bone spine chilling moments. So yeah, all in all, it's a really great horror movie. The pacing of it, some would say it's kind of slow, but I would say it's perfect because it takes time with each element that works up to the ending of it. The function of the rooms, like what Lynn said, the authenticity of the ritual, that really grounds it. And like what Caleb said, someone could actually do this, and yeah, the ending of it, the visual of the guardian angel, is just awesome. Yeah, so 8 out of 10 for me. Caleb?
It's 8 out of 10 for me too. Wow. So yeah, everything you guys have already said, like the cinematography that Josh says, the music and everything, the writing, especially for me, the whole ritual with the whole, like everything has like a religious backstory to it.
Right.
Like there's a reason for what they're doing for each circle and everything. Yeah, it's pretty good. The missing points are because it didn't really scare me as a horror movie. But just don't come and stab me in the name of Slenderman.
Right, Josh. Justify your 10 out of 10.
11.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have no idea why nobody seems to talk about this film, honestly. We hear about, like It Follows, The Witch, Babadook, right? People talk about great horror movies of past years. I don't know why a Dark Song is not part of the conversation. Honestly, of all the horror films that I've seen in recent years, the ones that have stayed with me the longest are two of them. A Dark Song is one, and It Comes at Night is the other one. Right? I can't express just how much I am in awe of Liam Gavin and how assured he is, how confident he is in letting this film just unravel so methodically. And it's a film of, it's an intense meditation on grief, on loss, guilt, and especially the lengths that we will go through to avoid forgiving ourselves. It's a deeply personal film, and I guess it can appeal to many different types of people, right? So if you're going in like just wanted to check out the occult sequences, there's stuff like that for you. If you're more interested in the personal drama, there's stuff like that for you as well. Or if you just want to watch it for the cinematography, that's there, right? It's a gorgeous film. Like Caleb has mentioned, not necessarily the scariest one in the world, but it will definitely linger with you. So, for the past week, I've been struggling as to what rating I'm going to give this film. But I have gone through a ritual. I have forgiven myself, and I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, baby.
10 out of 10. Yes. Go, Josh. 10 out of 10.
I'm letting go of my guilt.
Someone break this combo.
we have reviewed, I think, 5 so far and 3 10 out of 10.
3 10 out of 10.
That's more than half.
Yeah, it's like every other film. The first, third, and fifth film have been 10 out of 10. So.
Right. So cool. So Josh, maybe you have a film recommendation for us if someone were to find themselves enjoying a dark song. What else would they actually enjoy?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit left field at the ending here, like Liam Gavin, and not recommend a film, but something else. So first, okay, I want to say this. If you are thinking about diving into the occult, right?
Don't.
Maybe think twice. Yeah, don't do that. But if you're looking for other forms of entertainment that deal heavily with the occult, graphic novels are actually a really great place to go. The one that will obviously spring to mind is Hellblazer, or as we've seen on the big screen, Constantine. Right? But my recommendation is actually Hellboy, not the films. Although I do love the 2 Guillermo del Toro ones, and we don't talk about the third one because that one's an abomination. But the Mike Mignola graphic novels, right? So if all you know about Hellboy is what you've seen from the films or you heard from the films, then you do owe it to yourself to check out the graphic novels. Hellboy is my favorite comic character, and there are a lot of stories that deal with the paranormal. There's folklore, there's occult, there's tons of Lovecraftian elements. The art is just gorgeous. And really at the heart of it is about a guy who believes that our destiny is what we make of it, even if we are burdened by horns and the right hand of doom, right? You can read Hellboy on Comixology. I recently purchased 3 of the physical library editions. They are absolutely gorgeous. So read Hellboy.
Awesome.
So, I would suggest Pie Wacket. It's a Canadian horror film, directed by Adam McDonald. It's about a daughter doing a ritual to her mom. It's not as
typical teenagers.
typical teenager. It's not as detailed. The ritual is not as detailed as fleshed out as this one, but yeah, it's a pretty cool film, good film. The cinematography, the music, everything is pretty good too.
Right, Pie Wacket, right, from Caleb. So I myself would actually suggest the film Hereditary, 2018 American supernatural horror movie directed by Ari Aster. We've mentioned him before. So it's actually his directorial debut as well. So it would be pretty close to a dark song, I guess. I mean, not the ritual, not the details on the ritual, but just on family relationship and the horror of the horror of family, right? Sometimes it just gets to you, right?
There's occult stuff in it too.
Yeah, and with a dash of the occult, I would say. So, yeah, definitely would recommend to you Hereditary if you enjoyed a dark song, which brings us to our next week's episode, right? So we will be reviewing Hereditary. So if you want to join us next time, we will do Hereditary, and you can watch the movie before listening to us.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're listening to a horror film podcast and you have never watched Hereditary before, like, what are you doing with your life, man?
Well,
throwing shades again.
I only watch Turkish horror films. Like, I don't watch this American mainstream ones.
Right. I remember Josh saying, Hereditary actually is one of the movies that made him sweat in the cinemas.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's just bad air conditioning or whether it's just bad gripping. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out.
I don't know. This director is crazy. I mean, he makes something as mundane as a click of a tongue scary.
Oh, don't spoil it.
I mean, it's just one thing.
I've forgotten about the click of the tongue. Okay.
He's forgotten. So.
You spoiled it for him. Now it's not a 10 out of 10.
Right. So do join us next time for another episode of Incantation. We'll be reviewing Hereditary. So goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.